You ever have one of those mornings where you walk into the shop and you can just smell the potential for a catastrophe before you even flip the breaker? I spent 20 minutes today just staring at a piece of walnut because I was convinced the grain was mocking me.
Tiger, I think that's just the lack of caffeine talking. Or maybe the wood is sentient now. But before you start a psychological warfare campaign against a tree, we actually have a massive show today. It's May 11th, 2026, and the TigerDen Daily is officially in session.
Hopefully, with less sentient wood and more actual progress. We're looking at some heavy duty welding gear that looks like it belongs on a starship, a literal $92 million soap secret, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say, and why your backyard BBQ island is probably going to crack if you aren't careful.
We'll get to the soap mogul life in a second, but let's start with the heavy metal. You've been grumbling about welding geometry since the late 90s. It looks like someone finally listened.
It's about time. Anyone who's ever tried to get a standard spot welder into the corner of a deep steel box knows the feeling of trying to thread a needle with a boxing glove on. Mid-Atlantic Global put out this new unit called the Teammate. It's a 200 kVA beast. For the folks at home, that's not something you plug into your kitchen outlet unless you want to turn your house into a giant flashbulb.
200 kVA? That's some serious juice. Is this just for the guys building bridge girders, or should the average fabricator care?
It's for the big panels, but there's a second machine, a deep reach specialist, that really caught my eye in the welder this month. It's designed for those narrow channels and deep dish geometries where you'd normally be swearing at your copper tips for being too stubby. It's like having a set of long reach pliers that can also fuse metal together.
I'm more interested in the Netterman fume eliminator. Mostly because whenever you weld in here, I end up coughing for 3 days. You finally going to upgrade?
My lungs are probably 40% slag at this point, but yeah, the Gomax looks legit. It's a mobile unit with dual workstations. The clever bit is that it's designed for on-torch extraction. Instead of a giant hood hanging over you like a looming shadow, the vacuum is right where the heat is. It works for manual rigs, or those cobots that are taking over the world.
Good. I'd prefer my co-host not to be a cloud of metallic dust by age 60. While you're worrying about your lungs, some people are actually getting a proper education in the trades. I saw that Local 525 out in Las Vegas just landed National HVACR accreditation. That's a big deal for the union guys, isn't it?
It's the gold standard. It means if you're an apprentice there, your training isn't just some hope for the best apprenticeship. It's academically vetted. And speaking of getting folks into the game, there's a new grant program from Bring Back the Trades.
Is that the one that gives away the kits? I was looking at that. They have specialized setups for plumbing, electrical, auto, even carpentry.
Exactly. The tool barrier is a real thing. When you're 19 and trying to start out, staring at a $2,000 list of required tools is like looking at the side of a mountain you're expected to climb in flip-flops. These grants just hand you the gear so you can get to work.
Just don't ask Tiger for his tools. He'll give you a lecture on why you shouldn't touch his good chisels.
They're precision instruments, Alex. They can sense fear in unwashed hands.
Okay, let's talk about the goat soap, because I'm still stuck on that $92 million figure. Beekman, 1802. How does a maker go from a literal herd of goats to a global empire?
It's the lesson every maker needs to swallow, and it's usually a bitter one. Product is secondary, brand is everything. Dr. Brent Ridge and Josh Kilmer Purcell didn't just sell a bar of fat and lie. They sold kindness. They sold a story about leaving the rat race and starting a heritage brand from the dirt up.
So you're saying I'm not buying the soap, I'm buying the feeling of being a gentleman farmer in upstate New York?
Precisely. If you're a woodworker or a jeweler and you're just posting a photo of a finished box on a workbench, you're missing the boat. People want the origin story. They want to know why you chose that specific piece of cherry or how your grandmother taught you to solder.
Shopify actually backed this up. They released a list of 35 profitable crafts for this year. Tufted rugs are huge right now, and resin jewelry is still going strong, but it's about that perceived value.
Right. If you can't explain why your handmade ring is better than the one at the big box store in 3 sentences or less, you don't have a business. You have a hobby that takes up garage space.
Let's get into the stuff people are actually building this weekend. I've noticed the CNC stuff is getting, well, less math-heavy and more accessible.
Yeah, there's been a surge of these start-to-finish live sessions on YouTube. No edits, no skipping the boring parts. It's showing people that the software isn't some wizard-level code. It's just a sequence of patience. If you can navigate a spreadsheet, you can probably run a Shapeoko or a long mill.
What about the outdoor kitchens? Everyone's trying to be a grill master lately. You had a warning about the countertops.
Oh man, I've seen so many people pour a standard bag of Quick Read for a BBQ island, and then wonder why it looks like a spider web after one winter. You have to use GFRC, glass fiber reinforced concrete.
Is that the stuff with the tiny little hairs in it?
Yeah, those hairs are what keep the slab from pulling itself apart when the temperature drops to 0 and then spikes to 90. It adds tensile strength. Also, don't forget the bonding primer if you're repainting the cabinets.
Wait, don't just tell them to use it. Why? I've seen people just slap a new coat over the old peeling stuff all the time.
And that's why their kitchen looks like a lizard shedding its skin 6 months later. If you put fresh putty or paint over old failing substrate, you're just building a house on a foundation of potato chips. You have to scrape it back to the truth, the solid wood or masonry, before you even think about the finish.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from industrial welders to goat milk soap empires. What's the one thing people should actually walk away with today, Tiger?
I think it's the realization that the barrier to entry is almost always a ghost. Whether it's the cost of tools, the complexity of a CNC, or the fear that your maker business isn't professional enough, there's usually a grant, a training program, or a storytelling technique that can bridge the gap.
Basically, stop staring at the walnut and start cutting?
Exactly, the wood only mocks you if you let it stay in one piece. Go make something, even if it's a mistake. Especially if it's a mistake, that's just a lesson you paid for in sawdust.
That's it for today's TigerDen Daily. We'll be back tomorrow with more shop talk and hopefully fewer wood-based hallucinations. Stay gritty, everyone.